when do you introduce a new partner to your friends? This can make all the difference in whether or not a relationship will work out. Thank you so much for joining us on Second Act TV. Once again, I'd like to welcome back Sandy Weiner, the author of Love at Last and Choice Points in Dating. I've got both of them sitting behind me today. And the founder of Last First Date. Sandy, thanks for being here again.
It's a pleasure to be here again.
Well, we have a conversation today that actually I've never talked about with anybody. This is the greatest topic. I don't know why we didn't talk about this before. And that is, when do you introduce a new partner to your friends? When I read through this, it's like, oh my goodness, this can make all the difference in whether or not a relationship will work out, and not always for the best reasons. How did you come up with this?
It's hard for me to come up with new topics, and I do a video
Yeah.
every week. And so it's like, oh, so what haven't I covered? And it came up in my Facebook group. Somebody was talking about introducing to a friend. And then I heard Esther Perel on the Oprah podcast talking about you should integrate your date into your real life really quickly. That way you'll know it'll be less awkward and you'll know who they are and how they get along with your friends. And I'm thinking, well, yes and no. that's
Yeah.
that's not the easiest thing to do. And there are
No.
many things to consider.
Well, what you have here, and this is what we're going to go over, 5 things to consider before introducing a partner to your friends, and then you give 3 potential downsides. Both is so important. So let's get started, and you'll know what I mean. So first of all, it's just your comfort level on both sides. Are you both comfortable with this? Hey, I want you to come be my friends. What more do we need to consider with comfort level?
Yeah, so you could be comfortable bringing that person to your friend group, but they might feel anxious. And so you need to talk it out. I remember I was dating somebody fairly new, and he invited me to have a meal with his friends. And it was a little awkward, but I also was curious to know what his friends were like. And I had been dating him probably a month or so. So I was game. I was willing. I don't think I introduced him to any of my friends. You have to be both ready, and you have to talk about it.
Depending on what kind of person you are, it can be very anxiety producing, which again can stir the relationship track differently depending on how you feel and how your friends feel about you. But we'll get into that a little bit further down here. Relationship stage. So if people ask, well, how long should you wait? What do you say?
Yeah, I'm not a rules person. I don't think there is a number you can put on when you're going to feel like it's a pretty stable relationship. So, depending on your particular relationship, when it feels fairly stable, that you're seeing each other pretty regularly, it could be after a few dates if you have marathon dates. I mean, I've heard of people with 10-hour dates. So you get to know the person really quickly, or there are people who know each other for 3 months and still don't really know each other well and don't feel stability. When you feel like I like this person enough, I feel stable in this relationship, I want to integrate them into the rest of my life, that's a good time.
Which covers, actually, I would say, the seriousness of attention. Point 3 here is when you feel like, I think you say that, yeah, this has real relationship potential.
Now we're talking about, is this long-term potential? I think is a little different. It's almost like when I talk to my kids about when I would introduce them to somebody I'm seeing, there has to be real long-term potential. Otherwise, it just feels like a revolving door of this person comes in.
Yep.
You got to think about lots of things. So yes, does it have long-term potential? Do you want to integrate this person into your friend group?
Well, this is where it gets interesting for me here is number 4, friend vibes. That think about how your friends might be with this new person. Are they generally welcoming? Are they overly judgmental? How will your friends be? This is so important because here you have to decide what might happen to this person you bring in, and what do I really, am I really going to give my friends this much power?
Yeah, I personally wouldn't, but I think that you hopefully you're choosing your friends wisely. And maybe it's
Hmm.
just you're getting together with another couple. You don't have to get together with a huge group, but is this going to be a good vibe? And are these people going to get along? And are you going to be really influenced by their opinion of this person that you've
Hmm.
already made some decisions about? So you've got to think about how your friends are going to be with this person and whether
Yeah.
that will work for both you and this person that you're dating.
Yeah. The reason I can identify with this so much is because Paul is very social, has a huge group of friends, and he has an annual golf tournament, which we're right in the middle of right now as we tape. This event has hundreds of people, and they're all his best friends. It's just one of those persons, he's one of those people that doesn't know a stranger. And he was so nervous about taking me to that first tournament because of how his friends would react, not necessarily telling him about, what, oh, don't date her, blah blah blah, but teasing,
Uh,
the shit that he's going to get. I mean, they love teasing him for one reason, because there was, like you said, this every year it was like, ooh, who's Paul going to bring now? That made me realize how important it is, how much value you actually give to the friends in your life when it comes to relationships.
and he was a social person. He's a
Yeah.
social person. So sometimes you date people who are antisocial. I mean, my
Mm-hmm.
ex-husband had a tiny friend group. He had like one friend
Mm-hmm.
and he really didn't keep in touch with his friends. So I was the one with the big friend group. And I had friends who didn't like my ex-husband before I got married to him. And they never told me how they felt. And until after the divorce, they were like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, I always thought this about him. So, it would have been helpful actually if they had said to me, here's some concerns I have. I don't know if I would have listened,
Mm-hmm.
but that could be also a good reason to introduce if you have some uncertainty.
Well, and that's what you say here for number 5, is the purpose of the introduction is like, why do you want to introduce them? This says so much about where your relationship may go.
You should always ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing. But if you're introducing this person to your friend group, is it to get their opinion? Is it to see if they integrate well? That's always a
Mm-hmm.
good thing. Or is it to take the relationship to the next step and make it more serious because now that person is part of your whole life and not just this little private part of your life? Think about it before you do it so that you're not going to be like a deer in the headlights when it comes to your friend group. And also, I would say, once you're clear, talk to your friends about that.
Mm-hmm.
I want your opinion, but I don't want you to be overly judgmental, or I would love for you to be friendly and warm and not interrogate this person. You can be as clear as you want to be.
And this is a great conversation too, if you're the friend, who is being critical maybe of your friend's new beau or new girl. This is really something to think about, really, the influence that your friend, or the power of influence that your friend is giving you on their life. Because you might screw it up just by saying some stupid stuff. Yeah, and I have examples of that.
I'm
I mean,
sure you do.
and that goes, like, when we talk about the potential downsides of introducing your partner too soon. I mean, obviously at some point you meet the friends, but this is about when and why. But unnecessary pressure.
Yeah, let's say your friends are really nosy and they're like, so how committed are you? Are you really serious about her? Are you going to hurt
Mm-hmm.
her? Are you or him? Or, people can do that. They want to
Mm-hmm.
protect their friend. Maybe they've seen, like, Paul saw these other women, so he's going to interrogate you.
Mm-hmm.
These friends are going to interrogate you. That could have been really, really awkward and put you off.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make sure that they're not pressuring the other person because that can feel really horrible.
And I remember one time I think it was the first golf tournament, but anyway, he introduced me to someone who thought he was really funny. And I mean, it was like, oh, well, so and so, this is Silka, blah blah blah. And it was, wow, you really have a type. I mean, I'm standing right there. It wasn't like, hi, nice to meet you. Wow, you really have a type. I was immediately offended. I didn't. I played it up. I mean, it was such an
Yeah.
inappropriate thing to say that, again, as a friend, think about what stupid stuff comes out of your mouth that you might be, either helping or hurting your good friend. It's just I love that, the unnecessary pressure, the misinterpretation of signals. My question to you here is, why is that important? This is like friends might misinterpret the seriousness of the relationship. And I wanted to say, well, why would you care if they did?
A lot of people care about other people. They care about other people's opinions. I think we all do to a degree, but
Yeah.
especially the people we love. So
Mm-hmm.
if they're misinterpreting and then they're again asking you just so many questions and are you serious about this person? How do you know? Did you
Mm-hmm.
find this out? Did you find that out? Are you ignoring
Mm-hmm.
red flags? Whatever. You don't want that conversation. This is if you're coming in with confidence that this is somebody you really care about, like Paul
Mm-hmm.
did with you,
Mm-hmm.
somebody who says, boy, you have a type is basically not even, they're not even seeing you.
I know.
They're seeing the type.
Mm-hmm.
And that's offensive.
It's
And
very
so,
offensive. Yeah.
yeah,
That's why I think this conversation is so important, because on some level or scale, or even if it's a smaller group, like you said, being one-on-one with someone can be even worse than, depending on what the issues are, than being around a big group. That's why I just think this is such an important topic.
I agree. I mean, I think what we don't realize always is that our friends should be a reflection of who we are. They
Mm-hmm.
should be a reflection of our values and what we hold as important and our personality and all these things that are really, really crucial. So if somebody's in our lives, you don't want to have this isolated relationship. You want to be able to integrate them,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's important. Then you have people to hang out with and there are always couples where you don't like one of the partners and you don't really want to hang out with them, and it makes it harder to socialize.
Well, and that's your point three too, is that the negative influence that you could potentially open up, that depending on what your friends are like, are they going to get negative or critical, or, well, or either, just trying to be funny and just saying stuff that influence how you feel about your partner then.
Yeah, it may make you doubt your relationship. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
my ex-husband did not like any of my friends. He would
Mm-hmm.
criticize all of them, and it didn't influence me at all. Like I still loved my friends. I was mad at him for criticizing because it wasn't kind, and he
Mm-hmm.
never really took the time to get to know them. At this stage in life, I wouldn't be with somebody if I didn't like their friends.
No, exactly. That's why, again, why this is important. I think, Paul and I have been together for so long now, like, 13 years or something, that what we've noticed, and we've talked about this, that our friend groups have acclimated to what each of us has experienced from the other. I think that, in a good, healthy, growing relationship, that will happen. And that's actually one point that I want to discuss before we close here, is that, what do you do if friends do become an issue? And my input, and I'll ask you, is just you reevaluate your friends, because a couple of times, if people had treated Paul, my friends, the way I was treated by a couple, I mean, I don't want to overdo this, they wouldn't be my friends anymore.
Yeah, I mean, look, as an adult at this stage of my life, my friend group has gotten very small.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
My close friend group, the people who I hold as my VIP section,
Yeah.
there are very few people who actually show up and are consistent and come through in a crisis. And so it's small. So it wouldn't be a big issue for me to introduce a partner because it'd be like, here's two people, but then there's the extended group. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
belong to a synagogue or a church or
Right.
some clubs, like you have the golf tournament, that's
Mm-hmm.
often where you have friends. I have friends at the gym. I have friends in my
Mm-hmm.
Toastmasters club. I have friends at other places that I
Right.
am friendly with that I would
Mm-hmm.
want them to integrate with a partner.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's again, look at the levels of friendship
Mm-hmm.
and how important it is for your closest friends
Right.
to be getting along with this person that you bring
Mm-hmm.
into your life.
Hmm.
But there are other people who aren't as important, and their
Right.
opinion doesn't matter as
Doesn't
much.
matter. No, exactly. And I learned that so much over the years, is that, and I've kind of come to be to where in a lot of ways I don't care what anybody thinks anymore. And I mean, I don't mean that. The people I respect, of course, I care what they think. I've become very hardened to just, I don't care. And I'm certainly not. That's why I thought this was such an important topic. How much power do you give to your friends to influence your life when it comes to someone you love? So, Sandy, we're coming to a close. Anything you want to add on this topic?
I choose your friends wisely, choose your partners wisely. I think if you are conscious
Hmm.
about the choices you make, then it's going to probably be pretty intuitive as to when to introduce. It's also going to be, your friend group is going to be kinder. They're not going to be mean to this person. They're not looking to spite anybody. And you're going to be clear with them about what you're looking for in introducing. And it can be an incredible experience.
Right.
As you said,
Absolutely.
it
Yeah.
broadens your social group, it broadens your
Hmm.
life. And you also get to see another side of a person when you meet their friends. And I think that's important because, yeah, good luck to all the people dating out there who are integrating friends.
Well, and maybe I should say something a little bit more positive here. Don't necessarily discount anything your friends are saying too, which is, I think we said that at the beginning, is that sometimes we don't want to hear what our friends have to say when they may be the ones seeing that something is going astray, or that you might be giving up something good. So, Sandy, thank you so much again. I will link to all of your information. If you're in need to discuss friends with someone, call Sandy, don't call me. All of Sandy's information will be in the show notes below. Her website, her book sitting there right behind me, Choice Points in Dating and Love at Last. Yes, it is possible. She has great stories of finding love later in life. And Sandy, thank you. I look forward to our next conversation on Second Act TV.